Good afternoon. So, Calicut Fish Market is a government project which comes under the Fisheries Department of Government of Kerala. And we had done this project as a pro bono services. Though the site is located, it's a part of a harbor, Vallayal Fish Harbor, which is right next to the most crowded area or the most celebrated public space of city of Calicut, the Calicut beach. The harbor itself has around 64 acres, and in the harbor, around 500 fishermen work, and there's a space for around 175 boats to dock, and out of that, around 70 fishermen stay in the nearby housing vicinity, and the remaining comes from around a 50-kilometer radius. The volume is not there. And so, this is the harbor, what's happening, and the site is a part of that. So, being right at the heart of the city, or the most celebrated part of city of Kozhikode, the main thing, we had an interesting visionary leader who put forward the brief. Here, Nimisha had shown him in the previous slide of the school. It's the MLA then, Mr. Pradeep Kumar sir. And I couldn't stress on the passion in which he gave the brief to us. Like, the whole fish market, the harbor, currently has only wholesale selling, and from various states also. Fish come from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, but it's only for wholesale selling. The neighborhood people doesn't have access to that. As in, there was a need for a retail fish market there. And this is exact word, you can sum up the culture of Calicut in basically 2F. That is the love for football and food. So the crazy brief that we had got was, along with the fish market, we wanted the brief, the need for a food court also, where fresh coastal cuisine was served. So this was the main brief, and along with that, from the fisheries department, the chief engineer, everyone was there when the brief was given to us. So the site is facing the Arabian Sea, and as architects, we came back to the studio and we started brainstorming on the various possibilities. There was this level difference from the main road to the site. We wanted to utilize that level difference, and moreover, we wanted the building to be a social or a public space where the people can easily move in. So the idea of the main challenge was, we had functions of two completely different programs, one being the fish market and one being the food court. So we conceived it as two different blocks in the initial stage itself. And we thought of creating a celebratory spine connecting the road, the street, towards the beach side. And we then kind of tie down the two blocks in a undulating roof form. So this was the main idea behind. And as a result of the 6-step process, we got a space or a public space that was very inclusive in nature, very participatory in nature. And since the site is exposed to an area where harsh weather conditions can be expected, we thought the idea of giving extra protective barrier or skin, both on the vertical planes and the horizontal planes. So, and that in itself, we didn't want it to be very aesthetical view in a very technical angle, and we tried to seek inspiration from various natural features, staying true to the program of the building and also to the context. So as a result, we get this floor plan. So this is the road, and as you can see, the central spine rightly frames the view towards the sea from the street, and on both the blocks we have one food court on one side and fish market on the other end. And in the lower level, parking and various supporting facilities happens. So as a evolution, we arrived at this massing, and this is the one undulating single roof that I had mentioned about in the earlier slide. So while observing the section, we can clearly understand the participatory nature of the central spine, and we wanted the spine to be an extension of the street, so that we had provided various other small activity generators, so that people can always engage on various activities while going towards the beachfront. And in a nutshell, this is how the building functions. And as I had mentioned earlier, the protective barrier, we try to seek inspiration from the most common landscape that we observe in Kerala. That's of, we have a lot of coconut trees. So we wanted the public to have the feeling of walking under a tree. And this, in a nutshell, offsets the overall carbon footprint of the building. It harvests around 65 kilowatt of solar when we are designed. Now the technology has improved much, but I think this will be enough to offset that. And regarding the vertical facade, we created this skin. We took inspiration from that of the skin of a fish. We tried to mimic the quality of fish scales. So we introduced thin aluminum foils which moves as per the wind energy, because the context is very windy in nature since it's a beach area. So this kinetic facade always adds in to the overall value of that. And I should have mentioned it the earlier slide. The brief from the MLA, we do a lot of government projects. In this, there was a specific stress for the need for a landmark that reimagines the coastal stretch of the Calicut beach. So these are some of the view, and this is the spine connecting the road level towards the beach side. And on top of that, we tried to link with various elements that connects to the history of city of Calicut. And in the top area, we have this open terrace area with a covered canopy. So I'll show the walkthrough. So the central spine has various elements that articulates the light and shadow. So, various attempts, I'd like to conclude, being a public space, how we view these projects has changed on various different levels, because the expectation of the general public of Calicut city has changed, because they are already exposed to architecture of certain level of quality, and the government is very much aware of it. So we had this, because a lot of our mentors, seniors, they already have done, and the significance of architecture is pretty much evident there. So in a nutshell, we try to create a space that is very porous, inspire the imagination of the general public by creating a quality space where they can spend time and celebrate what they normally celebrate. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's move on to the Q&A session.
Thank you. That was nice to see. I have a question about how you respond to the idea of a municipal market, because fish markets are municipal markets in a way, right? It's governed by the municipal corporation. And municipal markets in our country, in most cities, are a complex space because it's a social space, but it's also an informal economic space. And I'd like you to please share your insights on how your design responds to this. And there are, in markets you have very complex power relationships which play out between municipal officers, local politicians. There's contractors who control who transacts with whom, who sits where, is all controlled by local politics very strongly. There's also formal, informal vendors. Visibility is a very important thing. Crowding is a very important thing. How does your design respond to all of these dynamics and power relationships that exist in municipal markets, particularly fish markets, where formal, informal sector, bureaucratic, non-bureaucratic, bureaucratic spaces come together?
In the initial brief itself, they were very clear. There are huge markets. In fact, a very huge market proposal is there, right adjacent. Throughout this stretch, around 10-kilometer gaps, there are various harbors. And I would like to tell it's a cluster of many projects are happening. And this project in particular will be run by a hospitality consultant. The government will give the whole property to a hospitality consultant in a controlled environment, air-conditioned, controlled environment. The brief was very clear. So that's the way the residents are going to engage. So it's more like taking it to, from a tourism point of view, ministers. And other projects, in fact, I'll bring that also, the cluster project, Kodi Beach or the Pudiapa Harbour. There are other projects like community spaces which empower the fishermen community, were skills, how to do this in a more interesting or a modern way, the training sessions. So it's a cluster of projects. If I go on that stretch, we are doing one project also, and the material palette for that is not at all like this. So in this, there was a clear requirement from the government side. Yeah, and while designing, it was an unbuilt earlier. Like we designed it quite some time back. Now the project has got technical sanction and a certain amount has been awarded, and soon they will start the construction of this project. Yeah.
So if the program requires an enclosed space which is air conditioned, you would now reinterpret your inspiration from nature, for example, as in your the facade is inspired by the structure of scales of a fish, and there are other natural elements that you've invoked in your design narrative. So would all of that see some change now, given that you have to make an enclosed space?
In the design, there's an enclosed space already for the fish market. And also there is the spine, in which it has more of the character of an open street, where it's more participatory in nature. The other is a controlled environment. The main USP or the logic behind the government was you don't get fresh access to the fresh catch fish. So that's why the retail will work. They had done the survey, and that's how the requirement was given to us. Thank you.